I've been slightly critical of the direction of Hot D. Now, overall, this was a very excellent episode. Don't want my complaints to deny that this was excellent. It was much more fast paced. A lot of things were finally paid off. I am in agreement, this is very great, but there were a few problems, some technical difficulties, and some, I think, questionable choices with the humor as well as structure of the episode. But I will say for about the first third, and perhaps even 40%, it's never mathematical, near the halfway point, yeah, I would have given this a 9 out of 10 or 9.5. But then a few hiccups, not too much in the second third, but then the final third, it just had a few too many errors. Nothing too distracting, but it was going to take a few points off. So let's start off with the good stuff. Music for most of the episode was very good, very restrained, highly appropriate. Dialogue was very sharp, felt very appropriate for the characters, except a few. And that's where we're going to get to my first complaint, which is Cole. And this is also a problem with Matt Smith slash Damon just being able to hurt or kill people with impunity. I won't name names, I'll keep it vague, but just what Cole did so early, I was just like very shocking and just happened without much consequence. I guess you could say Westerling did respond, but it was a little bit more subtle. His response was mainly to an order by Otto, which I thought was very appropriate, but still felt a little weird that a certain death just happened and it didn't seem to resonate as much as I think it should have, so that felt a little strange. Again, the concentration on Alicent and Otto and the way Otto was trying to seduce her to his kind of, I guess, amoral philosophy, that was pretty good stuff. I like the camera angles. There was a lot of creativity in the way the camera moved. Extremely gorgeous cinematography. Seemed very strong to focus on that. And I do recognize part of the fandom just wants the fights, wants to see dragons, wants to see nudity and all that. I'm fine with that. And again, near the halfway point, it seemed fine that we were transitioning from character focused moments to getting the plot going with this kind of very interesting conspiracy thriller, basically, that took over for about the second third of the episode. But I don't know, it just left me a lot of questions because it's good they spread out the focus from the council and these noble lords to some of the more common folk, but we just haven't gotten to too much with those people, so it just felt a little jarring. It was overdue, and I'm glad they did it, but the reintroduction of certain characters from before who I think were underused was very welcome. I like that a lot. I don't want to say anything bad about that, but why characters made certain decisions at a certain point, I just felt a little too convenient just to keep the plot going. It did make sense how Alicent herself thinks she's doing the right thing for the realm as a whole. And I do like how they made certain changes from the book where she seemed more bloody minded in the books. Here she seems genuinely perplexed about what to do. I also like that they didn't overuse strong. He's coming off as a very good, no pun intended, strong character. I'm glad they're not overusing him. But that leaves us with the problem of what is motivating the episode, and it appears to be Otto, as well as Alicent doing a lot of horse trading. With her, it was fine and very engaging, but I don't know. Otto just feels like a very weak echo of Littlefinger and Varys, and a lot of his arguments are just arguments Varys made, so it just feels like very weak replay of much better performances. I wouldn't say the actor is stealing performance. It just felt a bit of a weak echo. I'll just leave it there. And I did like how the council politics were played out, but I think the attempt to, I don't know, marry, I guess we're going to call it, dry black humor, a very kind of Kubrickian dark irony with the more brutal, senseless killings, I just didn't come off quite well. I know we're supposed to feel it's comedic or very dark irony, but it just didn't work. Again, a lot of the direction of this episode was really strong, but I just felt the way certain things were filmed and why specifically it was edited the way it was, especially I'll just say with the crowd scene with a very important character, it just felt like that didn't make sense. Like all you had to do was just stand against the wall. You would have been fine. Just stand against the wall. I get it. A crowd is rushing you, but just stand against the wall. It's not that hard. So it just felt a little too stupid at certain points. Wasn't dramatically bad. I realized it had to be done to get to the twist at the end, which was fairly good. I did like it because it did seem a little too silly, a little too easy how power was transferred. So it was good that there was basically a kind of major twist. And I won't say what happened, but it is an explosive ending. Obviously, you know Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. You know what I'm talking about, so I'll just leave it there. But there's no way to escape it that the CGI was just bad. It was really, really bad. Now, some of it was acceptable because with a large crowd, it's just going to look weird. Rings of Power has also struggled with this, but I don't know. It's not right to compare them directly, but you just got to say, when they do spend the time and the money and effort on Rings of Power, it looks amazing. You may find the story boring, but it is very compelling what they do with special effects and the grandeur and sweep of things. Here it feels like they're still struggling with the special effects, and the visual team and the director, I think, needed to strive for more perfectionism. There was something off with the way the swords were being used, but that will always happen. You're using human performers, but one moment felt really phony with, I'll just say, a big fire. I just felt insanely fake. So that was disappointing. And yeah, some of the final scenes also felt extremely, extremely fake. I wish those were done better. Overall, I'm giving this a very high score, 8.65. I want to go higher, but there was just a few too many technical details, and just some character decisions were really shocking. I realize Cole is moving in a more dark direction, but even for him, it just felt overboard. There was also a bit of a stylistic monotone with people wearing cloaks, which is basically stolen from Star Wars and the look of the Jedi, which is fine. You're going to take inspiration, but it just felt a little bit too one note. But again, overall, beautiful episode, music very strong, and the use of secondary characters, I think, was well deployed, but the main story sometimes had a few hiccups. But again, much better pacing than the other three episodes, and it does set up the finale fairly well. So again, very excellent episode, but just a few too many small flaws to say it was as perfect as other critics are saying.